Yes, she continued. That was nice. Good shit. Hey, hardhead. Good shit. Yeah.
H player, what is up? Give me a second to tweet this out and then go through the propers.
Like you just want to spite me, Paul. Now you might do word when you win it.
Probably recognize the voice. I'm listening to
Is this Thrash?
Yeah, listening to Thrash playing Street Fighter. Talking his shit as usual. Yeah, I'm competitive. I'm watching Thrash and watching him on my phone, but I'll turn the stream down in a second. Skyfall Gaming, what is up? Yo, what's good, everybody? It is your boy Lincoln Clay, the ageless wonder, the godfather of gaming. What is good, everybody? You know what to do. Hit the bell icon and the like button. You know the rest. It'll take care of itself. If you're a new subscriber, welcome aboard. And so, excuse me, I'm having a pretty good Saturday here. Chilling, drinking my ice cold ginger ale and mango juice, having a pizza. Reunion, what's up? Area Drake, what is up? So yeah, I was just listening to King Thrash play Street Fighter. If he didn't go on like 2 seconds before I started this podcast, so. But I don't plan on being on very long, so I'll probably end up watching his stream once I'm done with this podcast. If I don't do my own stream, because I am supposed to do a few streams today, a couple of streams. A couple of people wanted me to do another Beat Saber stream. A couple of people wanted me to do another Firewall stream because that one actually went pretty good. I had a lot of fun playing Firewall earlier today. The team I was playing with, they were really good. Everybody was good. We were all communicating. And then the best part about it is they didn't mind me streaming and they didn't mind me talking to everybody. So that was cool. That's one of the reasons why I have not done too many Firewall stream, because, Mr. Pyle, what is up? I'm really happy that the game has grown. The game has the game is, I'd probably say Firewall might be the face of PlayStation VR. I mean, when you think about PlayStation VR, you can't think about, PlayStation VR without thinking about Firewall or Astrobot. Those two games are the face of PlayStation VR. So, and it was pretty cool that I hooked up with a crew that we were all pretty good. We were all communicating. They didn't have a problem for that, because, like I said, the game has grown and it's brought a few crybabies with it. People start crying about dogs barking, kids in the background, all that kind of stuff. This brought a few babies with it. So, and I don't want to get caught up in an argument with people and stuff. So I didn't stream that much. And then not only that, it's kind of tough for me to talk to everybody when I'm in the middle of a firefight. So, oh, that is so good. So delicious. Mr. Pyle, so I can recommend Firewall without a doubt. Ben Taylor, what is up? Mr. Pyle, if you could only, just a minute, people. Nope. I swear to God, this Yeti pick up everything. My son is in the living room playing Fortnite, and it's not that loud actually, but once I put these headphones on, this microphone is picking up everything, so it sounds like like it's 3 times louder than what it really is. Ben Taylor, what's up? But back to what I was saying, Mr. Pyle, if you could only get 2 games, I'd say 3. Damn it, 4. Okay, so if you were to ask me what 4 games should I get for PlayStation VR, I would tell you Firewall, Astrobot, Beat Saber, and Creed. So hold on a second, folks. You can turn it back up a little. Right there. Stop right there. Okay. All right, folks. So, shoot. Polish Paul, his video again, he talked a little bit about Warzone, and that is supposed to be that massively huge PSVR game where it's supposed to have like 50 players. A wide map, you know, vehicles to travel in. It was supposed to come out this year. What's up? Don't call me Danny. The game was supposed to come out this year. And I think we just now got news that it's supposed to be some kind of like early access on January 25th. Hold on a second.
Is it still loud?
If you leave it right there, it's fine.
Well, I didn't turn it down because it sounds quiet because.
Okay. All right. That's fine. But if you want to turn it up louder than that, then go get the headphones.
I'm fine right here.
Okay. All right. Excuse me, everybody. I swear to God. This Yeti makes everything sound louder than what it really is. Yeah, Mr. Pyle, that mic picks up everything. And it's not that he doesn't have the TV up that loud, but I mean, every time I put the headphones on, I keep thinking that he's turning it up. So, but yeah, definitely picks up everything. So, hey, there was money well spent. You know, I haven't gone through the instructions and stuff, so I'm sure, you know, when I listen to the playback of my streams, it does, yeah. Actually, uncompetitive, I turned the gain up a little bit on purpose because when I'm in my car listening to the playback of these podcasts on the phone, just a minute, I'm actually gonna turn the volume down a little bit. That way it's not blasting in my ear. All right, that's better. When I'm in my car listening to the playback, I'm listening to the quality of it as well as how well spoken I might be. So anyway, Skyfall, the red shit the jetpacks leave on the ground. I don't know. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but you know, the subject is, you know, 2019 and Sony. I think 2019 is going to be a great year, and it kicks off next month with Ace Combat 7. And truth be told, if it was not for the VR missions on this game, it is a game that I am not sure I would pick up. But because of the VR missions on this game, I'm going to pick this game up. Mr. Pyle, so 5 PSVR must-have: Astrobot, Beast Saber, Moss, Firewall, and Creed. Yeah, I would go with that combination because those are all good games. You know, and Beat Saber is one of those games where you only mean to play it for a half hour, 45 minutes, and 2 hours later you're still playing it. So, you know, speaking of Beat Saber, you know, that reminds me of how, you know, what my plans are for 2019 with YouTube moving forward. So I guess I'll get into that first. You know, as I said before, I'm getting back into the gym on Monday. I'm going to go at least 3 times a week. I'm hoping to only keep my workouts down to an hour, but when I was peaking, you know, my workouts would last anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. You know, a lot of it comes from taking longer breaks, talking to people, going through my phone, whatever I get, Facebook alerts, that kind of shit. Going through my phone, trying to, you know, find songs to listen to while I'm working out, that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna have to minimize all that stuff. So I'm not sitting in the gym for 2-3 hours. So I want to try to keep these workouts down to about an hour. I'm going to work out about 3 times a week. Now, as I said before, I'm going to have to find a perfect balance between juggling YouTube and juggling the gym, because I love them both. And I don't want to put one of them over the other. I want to try to find a way to balance them perfectly. And but there is going to be a little bit of compromise, on both ends. I think as far as the game stream goes, it's going to change a little bit, but not much, because before, when I was working out, when I was bigger, I was working out about 5 times a week, but I wasn't doing any cardio. So I got big and I got a belly to go with it too, so but it wasn't a truck belly that was sticking up out of my shirt. Christopher Hart, what's up? But the belly was big enough that I knew it was there, even though people couldn't see it, so and I wasn't getting any cardio in, because truth be told, I was scared to get cardio in, because I was scared it was going to make me smaller. This go round, yes, I am going to be doing cardio. And how I plan to address that is, on the same days that I go to the gym, I will definitely be doing some kind of stream, but it's going to be Beat Saber, Creed, Spark, games that require me to move around and burn some calories. So you'll still see game streams coming from me. But on the days that I go to the gym, it's like I said, it's going to be more of those type of games. But, I'll still try that. I'll still stream the new games when they come out. If it's games that I'm interested in, I'll still stream them, but I just don't know if I'm going to be like streaming these games like 5-6 times a week, because shit. I think I got about 30 MLB The Show streams, about 25, 30 GT Sports streams. Yeah, exactly, Christopher Hart. And I found that out earlier this year, because there was a couple of times where I was back in the gym, and I was starting to get back everything that I lost, and I was even looking better from playing Creed and and other games that required me to move around. So that's still a must right there. I'm still going to be doing game streams of that sort, because it'll still be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It'll still give me the cardio that I need, and I'm still having fun doing it. Vader, yeah, greatness awaits for us PlayStation Pros. Yes, sir. Exactly. And I'm really excited about it. I think the way Sony's going to close out this generation and introduce us to the new generation, I don't think they're going to skip a beat. So, but on the final note about, my plans moving forward for 2019, again, I'm still going to be on the Roundtable podcast 2 nights a week, like we do on Tuesdays and Fridays. I'm still going to be on the PlayStation Plus podcast on Sundays, and there actually might be in addition to it, because I was on the real RGT podcast with Ryan and Foxy Games. I was in there with those guys yesterday, and Foxy's going to start up his Gamer Couch podcast again next month, and he's invited me to participate in it. So I'll probably be doing that too. I'll be, I will. I just don't know if I can do it every single week. I don't know if he's offering me a spot as a regular on there or just a pop up on there every now and then. So yes, I will be on the Gamer Couch podcast too. With Foxy Games UK. So that'll be cool. And that's another area where I got to really juggle things. So, but with that being said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do podcasts, 3-4 times a week, like I've done in the past, when I'm going to be on other podcasts. I will do my best. It's just going to be one of those things. How many hours am I working this week? If I'm working 10-hour weeks and I'm exhausted and that kind of stuff. PlayStation Plus podcast is always great. All these podcasts are great, I think, with the PlayStation Plus podcast, I think we focus more on the topics, whereas the roundtable, we do focus on the topics, but it's a lot of joking and clowning going on in there too. I mean, it's the roundtable is a straight circus. I mean, we always having a blast in there, always talking shit about each other and that kind of stuff. So, both of those podcasts are great, and they bring a different kind of flavor. And, they're both great podcasts, but they bring you a different kind of flavor. And so, not to mention that I'll still try to make guest appearances, on Ryan's RGT podcast. I'll try to make guest appearances on Porter Rock's 60 Frames No Lags podcast. I was able to be a guest on there a few weeks ago. I definitely would like to do that again too. So with all that kind of stuff going on, I just don't, I don't know if I'll be able to do my own podcast 3-4 times a week like that, but I'll do my best. At the very least, I'll try to do at least 2 podcasts a week, but that's going to be tough because in the gaming industry, there's news at any given moment. I'll do a podcast and I get done doing a podcast and then some news will turn up and then I want to turn around and turn the mic back on and do another one. But I'm like, okay, wait till the next day, gather up some more information, that kind of stuff. So, but so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast tonight, because while other YouTubers are taking the rest of the month off, and going to get started up again after the new year, I'm actually trying to ramp it up because after the New Year's, I might be, I might have to dial my own podcast back a little bit. Skyfall Gaming, you about to get back into CrossFit, CrossFit ain't my thing, but I got a lot of respect for people who do it. JP Loco, what is up? Yes, and I did have a great Christmas, I'm having a great weekend myself. Starting, also on Monday, until further notice, we're going back down to 8 hours at work. So, don't get me wrong. I love those overtime checks, but yes, working 10 hours, it was just leaving me a little bit exhausted. So it's bittersweet, it'll be cool to be down to 8-hour days. But at the same time, like I said, I'm going to miss them overtime checks until we get back on it. Mr. Pod, you did a 3.5 workout today, legs, back, and biceps. See, that's out of the question. I'm not going to be able to work that many hours. And then as far as my legs goes, I got bird legs. I'll be the first one to tell you. As far as legs goes, my knees are shot too. I'm not going to lie about that either. Squatting is out of the question. I can still do leg exercises, but there's no way I'm going to be squatting 300 pounds and that kind of shit because, I don't want to put the extra wear and tear on my knees like that. So, Fatal Shirai, what does my workout week look like? Or Mr. Pyle? As far as mine, when I was working out, when I used to work out 5 times a week, it was kind of a push-pull workout. On Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, I would do workouts. No, on Monday and Wednesday, I would do exercises that involve pushing, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would do exercises that involve pulling. And then on Friday, I would do legs. And the reason why I would do legs on Friday is because I would have the whole weekend to recover, because legs is a motherfucker, like, especially if your legs ain't used to it. You go in there and put in a hard workout and you ain't done legs in a while, your legs is going to hurt for like 3-4 days. It's going to hurt to go up steps, everything. So as of right now, my plan is to hit chest, shoulders, and triceps like I always have on Mondays. Hit back and biceps on Wednesdays, and then hit legs on Fridays. And then just take the rest of the weekend to, get some rest. So in my case, Fatal Sherrod, stretching out, I would probably stretch out anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes before I, before I start working out. But I would do the most stretching out on leg day. Jamal Adams, what is up? So now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk about greatness. And we all know that what Sony has planned for 2019. You know, we all know that the heavy hitters, Days Gone, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us 2. But there's a couple of other games in there that I'm really looking forward to. You know, I'm also looking forward to Shenmue 3. The VR aspect of it. I'm also looking forward to Ace Combat 7 next month. I'm also looking forward to Blood and Truth. And yes, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up on Competitive Dreams. That is going to be a very, very, very interesting game because myself, I don't know if I'm going to, it allows you to create games. And myself, I've seen some gameplay of it where people were making very detailed cliffs of rocks and grass and trees and that kind of stuff. It was really detailed. And I'm like, that looked like the kind of stuff where if somebody makes a very, very detailed game, it might, I'm wondering if it's going to take months for them to do it. But it's definitely, I'm looking forward to it from the standpoint of I don't really plan on creating any games. Number one, I don't know if I'm going to have time, to sit down and try to make a game. But I'm definitely going to buy it because I'm looking forward to seeing what other people are going to do because I know it's going to be some talented people out there, and somebody like Amiris, who's a sub on this channel. I would love to see what he would do with Dreams, because he wants to develop VR games, and we talked a couple of times about him, about some ideas that he had. And I was like, hey, you should, pitch that idea to Sony. You never know. So I would love to see what somebody like him, what he can do with Dreams. And, there is a VR part of Dreams. I don't know if you can create VR games, but I do know there is some kind of a VR mode to Dreams. And I'm very curious to see what that is. And if it's a situation where you can create VR games, that is going to be awesome. Dreams is going to be a steal, for whatever they charge. Saris is great. What is up? Whatever they charge for Dreams, $60 or whatever, and you could create your own VR games. There's going to be some people out there creating some talented games, some really nice games. And I don't know if they allow you to create VR games, I could be spending a significant amount of time on Dreams playing the VR games that's been created. Christopher Hart with Dreams, I'm wondering if this is Sony's way of letting people audition for them. Because I don't think Sony's going to make a game like Dreams that gives people the ability to create games and not watch what people are making so they can go pluck some of these people. I think Sony's going to do that. I think they're going to be keeping their eye on the stuff that people create on Dreams. And when they see somebody that's really talented, I think Sony's going to pluck them. I think they're going to grab them. So I think, for some of you people that been wanting to make something, that want to develop games and, and looking for that big break, Dreams might be the break that you're looking for. And I would love to see that happen. Hell, I don't know if people know that, but with Gran Turismo Sport, you can actually go for your racing license on that game, a real racing license, not a video game racing license. Sony, JP Loco, my thoughts on Sony buying studios in 2019. Truth be told, I trust Sony. They've delivered some tremendous games this generation. And so when I heard that they were buying studios, I didn't think nothing of it because I know whatever they do, I think Sony, whoever they get, they're going to be talented. I would like to think the Sony's going to give them creative freedom. I'm under the impression that, hey, they present their case to Sony. This is what we want to make. Sony says yes or no. And if they say yeah, then they you know, they get out of the way and maybe pop their head in every few months just to see how progress is going. I think Sony strikes me as that type of company. So with them buying studios, and then I think, you know, Sony, I think they do hold their developers to a certain level of quality because, you know, what PlayStation games do we know about this super buggy? You know, when you talk about games like Fallout 76 or State of Decay, games that was like horribly buggy, no Sony games that I know of are like buggy on that magnitude. So with Sony buying these studios, I have the utmost confidence in, you know, what these studios may deliver, because they're going to be under the Sony umbrella. They're going to be held to I believe they're going to be held to a certain level of quality. And these developers, I believe, are going to get the resources they need. And I think they're going to have creative freedom. You know, I don't know if Sony's going to necessarily just like let them make any old game, but I think if Sony gives them the green light to build a game, they're not going to get in the way and say, oh, you got to make sure this game is multiplayer. We got to make sure this game is service-based and that kind of shit. You said Sony and Nintendo exclusives are always polished. Exactly. You know, say what you want about, you know, Nintendo and crying about them charging for online, whatever. Crying about the voice chat, whatever. But if the game's of quality, I'm fine with that. You know, and then as far as the voice chat and all that kind of stuff, I really don't need to talk to people. I like playing against live competition, but I don't necessarily need to talk to them. I mean, hell, I played Smash Brothers on the Wii U when my son had Smash Brothers, and I had a lot of fun with that game and was playing it online and didn't really see the need to talk to anybody. It didn't bother me. You know, you said, I really think Sony is determined to buy Insomniac. I think Insomniac is the one studio that Sony really wants on their team. I mean, why not buy them? They already committed to do like a couple of more Spider-Man games, if I'm understanding this correctly. And then you seen how the Xbox were crying about the tremendous job that Insomniac did on Spider-Man. They crying about it so bad that they felt like you know, they act like Sony stole something from them with this Spider-Man game. So, you know, and the Xbox were acting like Insomniac owes them something. So there's no question in my mind that if Sony doesn't pick up Insomniac, I think there's a pretty good chance Microsoft will come along and scoop them up.
What do you mean?
So, you know, JP Loco, you were saying that the likely suspects are Insomniac, Supermassive, Quantic Dreams, Platinum Games, or Bluepoint. Now, out of all those developers that you just mentioned, Supermassive is the one that's got me slightly concerned, because those are the developers of, I think, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood for the PlayStation VR, and they developed Bravo Team for the PlayStation VR. And, you know, Bravo Team didn't get that good of a reception. Despite all the negative shit that was said about Bravo Team, I did like the game. The only problem I had with Bravo Team is that, you know, I'm shooting at somebody and all of a sudden I'm getting shot from behind, and I'm like, how the hell are these guys getting behind us? And then I made it a point to look behind me, and the game was just making these guys spawn behind me. It wasn't a case of them, you know, looping around me or flanking me or anything. The game made them spawn directly behind me, and they were starting to shoot me. So, so that was the only problem I had with, you know, with Bravo Team. But all in all, I did like, you know, Bravo Team. It was to me, it was the first real taste of a first-person shooter, and you know, so I would like to think that if Sony is going to bring Supermassive games on, I would like to think that they would give them the resources to buy a much better game. And that's probably the one developer where I think Sony might have to watch them a little bit. So you think Insomniac will remain in a AA studio? Fatal Charade, if they stay a AA studio, Microsoft will come in and sweep them up for pennies on the dollar. Because keep in mind, that's the whole thing about it, though. Microsoft been buying these studios for pennies on the dollar. You know, they caught these studios in a vulnerable position. And in my opinion, if Sony does not pick up Insomniac games, you know, they already in somewhat of a vulnerable position right now anyway, because they said that they were ready to go on Sunset Overdrive 2. They were just waiting for Microsoft to give the green light on it. So that tells me they're ready to go, but they don't got the money to do the shit themselves. So yeah, I think Sony picking them up would be a great move, because if they don't, Microsoft will get them. Skyfall, yes, you do need to get a VR. So since you feel that way about it, Skyfall Gaming, here, let me help kick you in the pants and get you going and see if anybody has the PlayStation VR on sale.
No, I need some ammo.
I'm looking at the Target app.
Mind if I do some? Oh.
PSVR bundle.
I need it for my heavy. I need heavy bullets. Oh, he has the original.
Oh yes. Oh yes, we got the PlayStation VR bundle that comes with Borderlands 2 and Beat Saber for $250.
Sorry.
That comes with the headset, the camera, and the Move controllers, as well as the 2 games that I've mentioned. That is a can't miss right there. Borderlands 2 by itself costs $50 at the PlayStation Store, and I think Beat Saber was $40, I believe. 30, I don't know, 35 or $40 or something like that. More than I wanted to pay, but hell, it's a very fun game. I can't get enough of Beat Saber. Yeah, Borderlands 2 and Beat Saber for $250. I'm looking at this through the Target app. So I'm not sure if it's 40. Tell you the truth, I'm not 100% sure. Beat Saber is either 30 or $40, Fatal Charade. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, well, Christopher Hart, like I bought the PlayStation VR day one that had the VR Worlds bundle for $500. And damn that I did not want to pay that much money. It was a Christmas present. You know, my son wanted it for Christmas. I actually didn't really have any interest in VR like that when I first got it. I didn't really have a bunch of interest in VR like that. My son wanted it, and he played it for the first, weekend or two, and then he wasn't playing it, and it sat around for a while. So I actually thought about selling my PlayStation VR. And then I thought, okay, we paid $500 for this thing. Give it a chance. And that's right around the time that I discovered PSVR Frank. And he was like, the media doesn't want this to succeed. He said, I'm telling you guys, give this thing some time to grow. He said, this thing is going to grow. They're going to have a lot of great games coming. And he said, yes, it's starting off slow because anything starts out slow. And he turned out to be right. Okay, Fatal Charade, you said it's $30. So $80. Okay, so there you go, Charade, Fatal Charade. $50 for Borderlands 2, $30 for Beat Saber. That's $80. So if you slash that off to $250 at that VR cost, you get in the VR for $170 when you look at it that way. And so, Robert McLeod, I need an argument settled. A fanboy was telling me on Twitter PSVR was a flop. Hell no. Whoever told you that don't know what he's talking about, because PlayStation VR is the market leader right now in VR. Keep in mind, so PlayStation VR has only been out for about 2 years. I don't know how long Oculus and Vive has been out. It's the PlayStation leader. Sony is the VR leader. They are sitting on, give or take, they are sitting on at about 5 million units sold. I think in earlier No, it's definitely more than Uncle Bumpy. It's way more than 2 million because I think back in January of this year, I think reports had came out that they were sitting on about I think reports were coming out that they were sitting on about 3 million at the time. And then Polish Paul in his video about a month ago, he reported that they shipped out like about 1.3 million 1.3 million units. So at the very least, they're sitting on at the very least in 4 million. I think they're sitting on about 4.5 million, maybe even 4.7. But I do believe that they are well over 4 million. And they are, and they have sold more units than Oculus and Vive combined. And then also, when Polish Paul gave his numbers, PSVR shipped 1.3 million. The only thing that came even close was Oculus Go, the portable VR, which shipped 1.1 million. Oculus Rift and HTC Vive shipped about 400,000 and 500,000 respectively. So the PlayStation VR still beat both of them. So yeah, and I know Sony had, I know Firewall sold some units for them. I know Astrobot sold some units for them. Then they had the Black Friday, the Black Friday sale. They had a Christmas sale, and now they're introducing this Borderlands Beat Saber bundle for $250. If they don't hit 5 million by the end of this year, they will. I think they will definitely hit 5 million by summer of 2019. Of course, like Fatal Charade, I've said this a trillion times. If it wasn't for Sony, I think VR would have died because Oculus and Vive were some expensive peripherals right around the time that the PlayStation VR came out. The PlayStation VR was $400 and $500 in Oculus and Vive. Those headsets alone cost $600 and $700, and then you still got to build a computer to push it. So you were still looking. I was hearing that it was taking about, you would have to sink in about $1,000 into a computer strong enough to push Vive or Oculus. So you were looking at $1,600-$1,700 for the computer and for the headset. A lot of these people already have PlayStation. So if you got a PlayStation, you already halfway there. You just go buy the headset, the PlayStation VR, plug it up and play, and boom, you're gone. And a lot of the same games that are on PC are available on the PlayStation VR. There's just that, the Oculus and Vive just looks a little bit better. So notice the best VR games of all time were made by Sony. Yeah. At the Game Awards, yeah. Still, you can still, but that's incorrect. The system requirements for Rift and Vive are lower to mid-range PC. They can be built for around, $400. But I was hearing that it was $1,000. I'm not going to argue with either of those people. I'm not going to argue with you, Fatal Charade, or the person that told me that it would take around $1,000. I'm just, going by what I was hearing. But, $400 for the PC. And if you go with Vive, which was $700 at the time, you're still looking at $1,100. If you buy the PlayStation Pro for $400 and you bought the $500 bundle for the VR, that's $900. It's still $200 than $200 less than what I just presented to you. So you just woke up and Notre Dame just got blown out by Clemson? Yes, Jason Elliott, that is great news. So, but now, in that situation we talking about, Fatal Charade, what's the situation now? How much does Vive and Oculus cost right now? Because the PlayStation VR sells for about $300. If you get a bundle that's got a Move controller, you're going to get 2 games in the Move controller for $300. And then if you were to buy a PlayStation Pro for $400, you're looking at $700 and you're gone. But if you catch all that shit on sale, if you catch a bundle for $250, and if you were to go the route of catching a PlayStation Slim on sale for $200, boom, you got the console and the VR for $450. So there you go, Fatal Charade. You can still, if you wait till something's on sale or go the right direction, you can still get the PlayStation console and a VR for the cost of that Rift headset alone. Vive and Rift. Yeah, overall, it's still cheaper to go PlayStation VR. PSVR is the most affordable with PSVR Pro. PC VR, you need a high-end PC and one of the headsets for no less than $1,000. So JP Loco, if PSP wasn't the success that it was, we would never have gotten a PS Vita. Ian Robinson, how you doing? So these are all good debates. You said Oculus leaves a ring on your face. Well, I don't know about Oculus and Vive, but I will admit that when you're playing games like Creed and Beat Saber and stuff like that, when you start burning up all those calories and that body heat goes up, it does get hot under that headset. Oh, happy birthday, Mr. Loco. You said you hope the next PSVR is cordless. I don't. I hope it has a cord, or at least at least an option for those who want to unplug it and go cordless. Fine, but somebody like me, I want that cord because I believe a cord is still going to be more responsive than something than this wireless. Yeah, Vive is the best, but it's also the most expensive. I tried Vive before. I was at a friend's house and tried it. So, but it's like I said, if depending on, what the next PlayStation VR looks like, I probably wouldn't even need a Oculus or a Vive. You're a New Year's baby. Okay. Well, happy birthday there, mister. How old you going to be? How old will you be, JP Loco? So yeah, let's talk some more about 2019. I mean, hey, this debate that we're having there, these discussions about costs, for PlayStation VR versus Oculus and Vive. Hey, that's a good conversation to have because we're talking about the peripherals, but games isn't going to be an issue because both of them got games and games and games and games and games. So, but I guess to touch on the PC real quick, probably in a couple of months, I'll be the first one to admit that I don't want to pull the money out of my pocket. So in a couple of months, 2-3 months, when I get my taxes back, that's probably when I'll make a move and get a gaming PC. I don't know if I'll buy it. I don't know if I'll build it or just buy it. I really don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I probably will get a gaming PC. No, I will get a gaming PC. I mentioned it to my son, and he cracked a big giant smile across his face because he wants to be able to play Gears of War 4 on the PC. So,
That's me.
But I don't know. I think my place is too small. I think my apartment is too small to mess around with the HTC Vive. But with things looking up the way they are for me, I'm supposed to be moving to a different position at the end of the month. They're supposed to, pay me a couple of dollars more an hour than what I'm making. So maybe this might be my last year at this apartment that I'm living at. I might move into something a little bit bigger. Next year, it's something that'll give me enough room to set up a Vive. So who knows, So I won't totally rule that out. I mean, I am going to get a gaming computer, but it might take me a little while before I get a Vive or Oculus or whatever. We'll see how that goes. But let's talk a little bit about these heavy hitters that Sony's got coming up. We got Days Gone coming up in April. See, now Sony messed up my prediction a little bit. Here's what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to get Days Gone in January or February. And the February actually started out right, but I think Sony moved Days Gone to April so it wouldn't butt heads with Metro and Anthem, which is a smart move. But my original belief was that Days Gone was going to come out in January, and then Ghost of Tsushima was probably going to come out in April or May. Then I believe that Death Stranding was going to come out maybe in July. And then I believe that The Last of Us 2 was going to close out the generation, and that was going to come out in about September of 2019. And then I believed that the PS5 was going to launch in November of 2019. And I thought that The Last of Us 2 would be the crossover title. That would be the title that you can either get it on the PS4 or you can buy it on the PS5 either. So I thought that was going to be the game that was going to bridge the two generations, to end the PS4 generation and start up the PS5. That's the way I thought it was going to go. But Sony threw a serious kink in my plans when they moved Days Gone to April. Because that game is 3 months off of what I predicted it was going to be. And that's the only game that we really have a confirmed date for right now. All right, JP Loco, enjoy yourself at the movies. Oh, Robert McLeod, you can't wait to play VR on the Xbox. You know what? Robert McLeod, VR would be the only reason why I would be remotely interested in buying an Xbox, as far as the next generation goes. VR would be the only reason why I would be remotely interested in buying this so-called Anaconda. So, but yeah, Sony did throw my prediction off big time when they pushed Days Gone back to April. So now I don't know how they're going to do this because
also for people who like to troll.
We got Ace Combat 7 coming out next month. I don't know if that's a Sony exclusive or not, but that's coming out next month, and I'm getting it for the VR part. We got Days Gone in April. And then the other three games, I don't know how they're going to go about releasing those. Especially, it makes it. I'm still sticking with my prediction of a November 2019 release for the PS5, but it makes it harder to stick with that prediction now that they pushed Days Gone back, because that threw up it messed up my whole chain of events. Money Man, what is up? Ben Taylor, what's up? You said I like people who crash weddings. Instead, I'm a live stream crasher. I show up to everybody's stream. Hey, then you support everybody. Hey, thanks for popping in. So, and then don't forget, we still got Shenmue 3, and I'm looking forward to Shenmue 3. I don't know if that's going to be a Sony exclusive or not, but I'm also looking forward to Shenmue 3. We definitely know Blood and Truth is going to be a PlayStation VR exclusive. I'm also looking forward to that. I think that game going to be lit. I think we also got Hong Kong Massacre coming out sometime in 2019. Even though that's a top-down shooter, I think a lot of people are still looking forward to that. So a lot of games, Sony's got a lot of games coming out for 2019. It's going to be a great year, but I don't know. I might be stretching it by saying it, but I think if the PlayStation 5 ends up coming out in March of 2020, my reason for believing that is that Days Gone getting pushed back, a couple of months. Because I did predict it was going to come out in January or February. And I predicted that the games were going to come out in this order. Days Gone first, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, and then close the generation out with The Last of Us 2. Now, out of those 4 heavy hitters, Money Man, you've got Battlefield 5, so we can link up. Oh, without a doubt. Also, I got Battlefield 5 on both consoles. I've got it on the Xbox and the PlayStation. So, my PlayStation Pro takes center stage. I got my PlayStation Pro on my 65-inch TV in the living room. I've got my Xbox One S on my 55-inch TV in the bedroom. And that's kind of how I close my nights. When I get ready to go to bed, if I plan to be in bed by midnight, then I might go into my bedroom at 11 o'clock and play Battlefield 5 for about an hour before I go to bed. Because even though my PlayStation takes center stage and I have the most fun on my PlayStation, I got my Xbox in my bedroom, and I do like playing from the comfort of my bedroom. I do like stretching out on the bed, kick my feet up, that kind of stuff. So either way, Money Man, we can hook up on either of them. We can hook up on the PlayStation or the Xbox. I got Battlefield on both of them. You said you support as long as nobody asks to donate. George Bush, donations, the only way I would ask for donations is if people were coming at me left and right, asking me to try this game, asking me to try that game, because it would be expensive for me to run out and go buy every single game that people would ask me to try it, and stream it or what have you. That would be the only way I would ask for donations, is to pay for games that people would ask me to try and stream. Money Man, my Xbox gamer tag is Lincoln Clay. But here, just keep an eye on the chat. I'll type it in the chat because I need to explain it. Okay, that is my Xbox gamer tag right there, Money Man. The reason why I typed it into the chat is because if you notice that O is not an O, it's actually a 0. The name is in all caps except for the O. It's a 0 because when I tried to take the name was already taken. So I had to put that 0 in there to finesse the name so I can be Lincoln Clay and not Lincoln Clay 2538 and all that kind of shit. Because I don't even like it that I had to put the 670 on my YouTube name. But I had to do that. I can see Sony using The Last of Us 2 to cover small losses on the PS5 launch. Without a doubt, gameplays. I wouldn't doubt that. I think that's going to be the game. Like I said, I think that's going to be the game that's going to bridge the generations. I think that's going to be the game that's going to send Sony out with a bang for this generation. And I think it's going to be a cross-gen title that'll be PlayStation 5 enhanced, for the PS5. So no doubt about that. Just picked up Tales of Zestiria on PS4 and Dragon Quest 11 and Ni no Kuni 2. And I don't know what DBH is. Does. You said you just found this. You might want to read it. Okay, let me just a minute. New PS5 and Xbox specs detail reportedly revealed. I mean, I don't know how much of it I'll understand with these Ryzens, these new Ryzens and stuff like that. This out because everybody that's doing a backflip about the new Ryzen CPU that's supposed to be out are PC people that build PCs and they know PCs from front to back. I don't know PCs like that. I only know the basics of a PC, what parts it takes to build a PC, and basic functions of a PC. I'm not a NASA scientist like that when it comes to PCs. So if you tell me that the new Ryzen 2080, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, But I will still read that article though. That PS5 is not going to be a slouch like Xbox gamers are predicting, saying Scarlett is going to crush PS5. It won't matter to me. Look at the current situation right now. The Xbox One X has more power, but who has the better looking games? I mean, I don't have a standard PS4 anymore, but people were saying that Sony exclusives on the PS4 Slim look better than games on the Xbox One X. So that's not going to mean anything. So that's your gamer tag right there. That's your gamer tag for what? For which platform? PlayStation or Xbox? I don't doubt the PSVR 2 could be better than Vive because I think is this Mass Effect talk the Messiah? What is up, my friend? While you're in here listening, Craig, in regards to the racing wheel, I haven't received the one that J-Dub sent out. It was supposed to be here on the 27th. So I'm pretty much chalking it up as, Christmas traffic, New Year's traffic, that kind of thing. Probably got tied up, so again, as soon as I get it, you'll be the first one to know. I'll let you know so I can get your address so I can send you my will. You think people were spying on you? George Bush? All right, cool. Let me see, how long have I been on? Damn, an hour. It don't seem like it's been that long. I don't know. I just feel like I got a lot of energy today because once I get done with this podcast, I'm going to go stream something. I think I'm going to stream Beat Saber first. Mr. Pio and a couple other people asked me to stream Beat Saber, so I'm gonna get on in there. And plus, since the last time I played, I've been wanting to get in there, try to get through some of these songs on Expert.
My character's literally just sliding. What?
Yeah, I see what you mean about that, George Bush. That was happening to me on the Xbox too. And gameplays, you said Polyphony Digital creating ray tracing techniques for Sony Ice Team. Future is looking great. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I was catching part of Ryan the Professional's videos talking to, he was giving you a picture of a car with an explosion next to it, and you can see the reflection of the explosion on the side of the car. And he was trying to explain that's what, ray tracing is, is kind of going to be all about. The stuff that Polyphony Digital was working on. So I can't wait for it. Not, with Polyphony Digital, with them working on the next GT game, and it's going to be in VR. There's no doubt in my mind that the next one is going to be in VR, and it's going to have the VR multiplayer in it. So I absolutely can't wait. As far as games for the next generation, as far as VR games for the next generation for the PS5, that's the one game that I have my eye on. That is no. They're not putting explosions in GT's sport competitive. Ryan the Professional showed a screenshot explaining what they're going to be able to do with this ray tracing that Polyphony Digital is working on, because I guess they got their own iteration of it that they're working on. And he showed a screenshot of, giving you an idea of what they're going to be able to do with it. So he okay. You put the LOL next to it, then I know that you just kidding, and then I don't have to waste a whole bunch of stamina trying to explain it. Gameplays. I was thinking about that too, because the all these studios under the Sony umbrella, they all sound like they work with each other and all help each other. So whatever they come up with, it's not cool and competitive. It's cool. So I'm thinking that whatever Polyphony Digital comes out with, if they are able to implement this technique into the next generation of VR, and they share this technique with the other Sony developers, I think we could see some very, very amazing games in VR for the next generation. So, so when I did see Ryan the Professional's video and saw what he was talking about, I was like, man, I really hope they can implement this in PlayStation VR. I cannot wait. So you said I hate wearing headsets now. I used to not mind wearing one, but for some reason I don't like it now. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, if you can wear a VR headset, you can wear any headset. You said somebody with a 0 gaming score sent you a message before saying hi. Yeah, there was some reports going around of people sending random friend requests. So Skyfall Gaming, you said that's your gamer tag for Xbox. Is that what you were talking about? Definitely send me a request, because when I get ready to go to bed, that's how I'm going to close out my night. I'm either going to play Battlefield on the Xbox before I go to bed, or I do have Fight Night, a 360 game that I still play every now and then too. I still play that and knock out bums, and knocking out all bums, like Muhammad Ali said, knocking out all bums. Christopher Hart, VR headsets have to be set to your eye-to-eye distance and camera to headset distance to not feel funny or have motion sickness. Yeah, and I think on top of what you said, you still got to build up a tolerance for it. You still have to play it enough to get your VR legs under you, as they say. So no, I mean, I think right now, not to mention that you can still drink ginger ale to alleviate motion sickness as well. I think out of all the VR games that I have, the only ones that still might make me feel funny is Riggs and Star Blood Arena. So those are two games that would still have me feeling funny. Especially like Star Blood Arena is a fun game, but boy, it's such a fast-paced game. You said Riggs is hurl inducing. Yeah, you gotta drink that ginger ale before you go messing with Riggs. Yeah, all that stuff you guys talking about with VR, with the motion sickness and stuff like that. Drinking ginger ale is what got me through until I got my VR legs under me. And I think, I can play just about any VR game now without ginger ale. I think, like I said, I think Riggs and maybe Star Blood Arena are the only two games where I would still have to drink ginger ale before I play. Speaking of which, I have a drink here. Oh my God, that was refreshing. So, our PlayStation Plus podcast group and Twitter stream Mass Effect Andromeda. The game, Craig Harris, the game already threw me off to begin with. At some point, I lost the story. Somewhere I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell happened? Dad was playing a game on my own. Now I go off and try to stream the game and try to play the game and try to understand this this story that almost don't make sense, and then try to respond to comments. Oh shit, it would definitely throw me off. You said you can stream Dragon Age Inquisition? All right. You said I prefer to play VR where you can sit down. Hey, it is what it is with me. Uncompetitive. It just depends on the game. Some games I enjoy. You stand up playing them. Some of them you sit down. So holy smokes, I got 39 watching. Give me a like, y'all. Give me a like. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit that button. Ding, 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 ding. That's the like button right there. Ding, 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 ding. Hit that like button. So, but, I'm going to shut it down pretty soon so I can move on over and do a game stream and do some, start out with Beat Saber. Ben Taylor, those travel sickness pills, I believe they would work. But ginger ale is a much cheaper solution. I mean, the stores in my area, you can get a 2-liter of ginger ale for less than $1. So I think that would be a much cheaper solution than motion sickness pills, and it would probably taste better too. So, ooh, excuse me. Uncompetitive. You hope you enjoy the Gamer Couch podcast, but I won't be in the chat as I don't want to be called Ano again. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I played that Mass Effect for a couple of hours, Robert McLeod, and that was that. Gameplays, you said the older I get, the more sensitive I get to, to regular games. Kind of nervous about VR. Gameplays, I'm 51 years old. And like I said, the only games that I'm still concerned about in terms of motion sickness is Star Blood Arena and Rigs. I mean, the last time I played Star Blood Arena, my stomach felt a little bit funny, but not to the point where I felt like I was going to throw up. So it was like a quick glass of ginger ale, and that was that. And I went right back to playing. I've never streamed that game before. Maybe, I could do that from, Christopher Hart. Thank you so much. That's why Christopher Hart, sometimes I call myself the godfather of gaming, because I pretty much seen the evolution of gaming. My parents gave me my first video game console, I believe in 1977, 1978. It was a Telstar that had the tennis, the pong, the hockey, and all that stuff in 1977. And then I think a few years after that, the Atari 2600 came out, and that was like you could say that was probably like the first PlayStation 1, that console that everybody had, and even people who were casual gamers eventually got an Atari 2600. Even people who didn't really like video games that much, that really didn't care for video games that much, even they had Atari 2600s. You said, so who are you, the second godfather of gaming? Sure. You can be one of my capos. You said your parents didn't know the difference between gaming console generations from Nintendo to Super Nintendo until game systems crossed over to 3D. Yeah. All right. So there you are, Robert McLeod. You are the second godfather of gaming. I'm the Corleone family, and you're the Garbinis. You know, my family is the head of the video game industry. You know, the Corleones. And every month we have a monthly sit down to talk about the video game industry and where we're going. One thing I do not like is these scumbags and these drug dealing microtransactions. None of that stuff in my territory. in my Vito Corleone Marlon Brando voice, the original Godfather was one of the greatest movies ever. It said if people don't notice the difference now, the VR is breaking the fourth wall in gaming, that they are just blind. We're reaching, you know,
No.
Christopher Hart, PlayStation VR is just now starting to put a crack in that wall where casual gamers are even starting to get on board with the VR. With over 4 million units sold, some of those people have to be casual gamers. We just now starting to crack that wall. My cousin's a casual gamer. He got a PlayStation VR, called me on Christmas, said he got a PlayStation VR. No, he did not Christmas, Black Friday. He called me. He got it Black Friday. And he played Creed. Next thing you know, he was making posts on Facebook left and right about PlayStation VR, promoting PlayStation VR, telling people you got to get, you know, PlayStation VR. So I think between now and next summer, Sony can definitely sell another 500,000 VR units. Definitely. So I think they can close the generation out. I'm gonna go out on a limb because if you ask me, I would like to think that Sony is sitting on like 4.5 million VR units sold right now. You know, if my predictions are correct, by this time next year, we're going to be playing PS5. But I don't think that the PlayStation 5 VR will be ready yet. So a lot of us will still be using this VR and probably being able to, you know, move it over to the, you know, to the PS5. With that being said, so, you know, short story long, I would like to think that by this time next year, Sony could be sitting on close to 6 million units sold. You say gameplays. If Sony gets VR to take off, it will be another area Microsoft will be years behind in, especially in game development. But it didn't have to be like that, gameplays. You know, all the different reasons going around as to why Microsoft didn't get involved with VR. You know, a lot of people were saying that, you know, they didn't want to leave anybody behind. The Xbox One S can't do it. The vanilla Xbox can't do it. And I refuse to accept that as a reason because if that's really the truth, Microsoft knew that when they stood up there on that E3 stage and said high fidelity VR. They knew that when they said that. So they never intended to include the Xbox One S and the vanilla Xbox as part of you know, Xbox VR, if you want to call it that. They never intended for those consoles to be included in that. They knew that those consoles weren't capable of doing it when they made the announcement on that E3 stage. I think they bailed out of VR because of how slow of a start it was for Sony. So that goes back to me saying that Microsoft wants that drug money, that they want shit, you know, they want $500 billion over, you know, 72 hours whenever something comes out. Whereas Sony looks at the big picture. You know, Sony knew that VR was going to get off to a slow start. So it wasn't a situation where the PlayStation VR got off to a slow start and then they abandoned it. They knew it was going to take some time for it to take off, and they knew the thing wasn't going to pick up until they were able to lower the price of the VR permanently. So with that being said, you know, every reward that's coming to Sony for PlayStation, they deserve it because they stuck it out, and because of them, VR is alive and well. If they had not got involved in VR, it would be dead. I'm under the impression that the Scorpio could have had the VR technology baked into it already, being that they were supposed to partner up with Oculus, unless Oculus was going to provide some kind of processor box like you got with the PlayStation VR. So I'm just led to believe that that Microsoft just didn't want no parts of it because of the slow start. But I think now that I wouldn't be surprised with Anaconda that they would bake the VR technology into that console and then wait and see what happens with Sony. And if Sony, continues the success of the PlayStation VR into the next generation, then they might implement their own iteration of VR. But I don't think Microsoft, that kind of stuff, Microsoft isn't going to take any chances. They're going to let somebody else go first. Sony legit got into VR at the preliminary stages. VR growth is Sony growth. Exactly. It's first year, like even when Sony made this, when they first gave some official numbers, I think the first official numbers they had released, they were sitting on about 750,000 units sold, which was below their projections. I think they were hoping to hit like 900,000 at that time, but it was still more than Oculus and Vive combined at the time. So right now, VR, as far as I'm concerned, well, I ain't going to say that VR is going to die because at first I was going to say that VR is only going to stay alive as long as Sony keeps it alive. But it's so much like bootleg ass VRs and shit like that. It's a store called Big Lots in my area where you can go in there and get a damn VR thing for like $10 with something where you place your phone inside it and some kind of VR shit, some kind of VR headset. You stick your phone in it. So in that aspect, no, VR is always, it's always going to be around. Said, Oculus is Facebook owned. Wouldn't be easy to negotiate just because they Microsoft. Yeah, but don't the government also own Facebook? Now, I would like that I'm under the impression that the government would probably be really cool with a company like Microsoft. You said you haven't heard that name in ages, Big Lots? Oh yeah, I went there. I spent about $150 at Big Lots picking up Christmas gifts from there. Low key, you can find some shit at Big Lots. The sound bar that's in my bedroom, I bought a Sylvania sound bar for $70. It came with the sound bar and a bass box that's in my bedroom. So, and it's got great bass too. It sounds amazing and the shit is loud. So it's $70 well spent that I got from Big Lots. Not one of those $500 sound bars or something like that you're supposed to be putting in the living room, on your OLED TV or something like that. But hey, for the bedroom, I got a 55-inch 4K TV in the bedroom. It's a Hisense H6. I got an Xbox One S, which does 4K HDR, and I got that Sylvania soundbar in the bedroom. So I got my own little, man cave within the man cave. So it doesn't matter where I play, and then when I don't want to make any noise and shake up the neighbors and shit like that, I've got one of those Turtle Beach Recon 200s amplified headsets, which sound incredible. So no matter where I'm playing at, I always play in quality. But the sound and picture is always quality, no matter where I'm playing at. You said you can outfit your entire crib at Big Loots. I don't know if that was supposed to be a typo or not. For $400. Robert McLeod, you said you think it's pretty bad when your 4K TV sounds better than my home theater. Don't tell me you still got some of them like big giant ass house speakers with the 15-inch woofers and shit like that got holes in them because your kids stabbed them with pencils and shit. Jason Elliott. He said you meant lots. He said big loots. I figured it was a typo, but it still looked funny. Oh, hey, about 10 years ago, Robert McLeod, I DJ'd, on the side. And so, yeah, I had 15-inch house speakers. I had some 15-inch Sherwin Vegas, and those, back in them days when they used to have them big, heavy-ass house speakers in the wood grain cabinets and shit like that. Boy, them Sherwin Vegas was no joke. That was like, Sherwin Vegas was like back then considered like some of the best house speakers you could buy. And back then, I knew dudes that would put house speakers in the trunk of their cars for their stereos and shit. Sherwin Vegas, was kind of the speaker of choice. Fisher's was some cheap bullshit, unless you bought the more expensive ones. They was hard to find, but JVC house speakers was pretty good too. I hooked my home theater up to my 3-foot speakers. I mean, these days, man, with these sound bars, you get Pioneer. Yeah, Pioneer. Gameplays back then, Pioneer. The fucked up part about it was when it came to like the CD decks and the tape decks back then. Pioneer made some good shit, but people used to try to laugh at Pioneer like it was some cheap shit because it was like, as far as CD decks goes in your in-dash in your car, if it wasn't Kentwood or Alpine, people try to laugh at you like you had some bullshit. When it came to amps, if you didn't have something like a Harman Kardon, Rockford Fallsgate, or something like that, they laughed at you like you had some bullshit. And when it came to woofers, same deal. You had to have, this is when you bought car woofers, not, house speakers. I'm talking about car woofers. Back then, the shit was supposed to be the good shit was like Kicker was some decent stuff. Rockford Fallsgate was probably considered some of the best shit. Rockford Fallsgate woofers, those things was expensive as fuck. Trying to think what else was considered some good, good woofers. But Rockford Fallgate was one of the most expensive. I think when Kicker first came out, that was that company where they shit was that shit that sounded good, but if you put too much power on them, you would have blew them out. And shit, gameplays back then, Clarions was considered cheap bullshit too back then. We talking like 35 years ago. Clarion was considered cheap bullshit. Shit, Clarion was considered worse than Pioneer. But now when it comes to TVs, shit, Pioneers is one of the most expensive shit out there. People talk about Pioneer TVs like it's on the same level as Samsung. Same thing with Panasonic. Back in the days, they car stereo shit used to be considered cheap bullshit. Panasonic used to be considered cheap bullshit, but now, as far as TV goes, they kind of like somewhat of the upper echelon of TVs. I think, back in the days, J-Dog, like 35 years ago, like Kenwood and Alpine was like the two top names out there, but there was a few of them like I don't know if anybody remember Nakamichi. That shit was like super expensive, and I guess like Nakamichi, this is when cassette tape decks was still out there. Before there was such a thing as auto reverse. The Nakamichi deck would stick your cassette tape out, turn it over, and draw it back in to play the other side. It's hard, so I think they had a deck called the Nakamichi Dragon. I believe Nakamichi also had amps too that were very expensive too. That was supposed to be some quality shit too. Wanye too there. What is up? Yeah, you know, and back in those days, gameplays, you know, it was really expensive to put a really nice system in your car. It could easily cost you, you might be looking at about $3, $4, $5,000 to put a good system in your car, because just the amp alone, you was looking at about $1,000 just for the amp. And then you like, you know, a pair of like 15-inch Rockford. Well, I don't know if they made 15s, but I do know Rockford Falls Gate made 12s. But a pair of 12-inch woofers at Rockford Falls Gates, I think back then was, you know, you might be looking at like $400 for a pair of them. And that's just for the woofers themselves. And then, like, if you wanted to get the most out of them, you had to take the woofers to a stereo shop and let them build one specific to your car, because they had to build one that was specific to your car and tune it. So, you know, and then to have a cabinet made was another, you know, couple $100. So just the amp, the speakers, the woofers in the box, you already got about $1,600 tied up into it. And then if you bought the latest, most expensive Kenwood deck, you looking at about about $1,000 for that. Then don't forget the preamp, because you know, then a preamp, you know, you're looking at another $300-$400 for a quality preamp. And then I forgot what the name of that device was. It was a little box that you added into your system to turn up the bass, to add more bass to what you already had. I forgot what that thing was called. You know, not to mention that it was the crossover. Say, want to hear a joke? Type the letter. Type the letter after W, then box after it. Okay, yeah. Xbox is a joke. What's up, buddy?
I was just coming here for that joke because I already figured it out.
Okay.
Xbox.
Yeah, we got it. J-Dog, you got a 1987 Pioneer home stereo system right now that shook the neighbor's house. They don't make them like they used to. Yeah, that's, you know, that's the other thing that I never got to. I was talking about how much money it would cost to put together a nice system back then for your car. Like I said, you stared at about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to put a good system in your car. And then the police decided to get involved in that shit. They knew people was, you know, they knew a lot of people were spending all that money to put these stereos into their cars. So then they started creating these dumbass noise pollution laws and shit like that. So now they was like coming up with this dumbass shit that if they like 100 feet away and they can hear your stereo, then it's too loud, then you getting a ticket and that kind of shit. So they made it, you know, so a lot of people, it wasn't worth it putting systems in their car anymore, because they was catching these noise tickets, these noise pollution tickets. It's because of that you can go to a place like Best Buy and spend about $700 or $800 and have a system put in your car that will shake the fucking block, you know, because of those noise pollution laws, because nobody going to drop $2,000-$3,000 on a car system and not be able to turn it up. So yeah, the police took all the fun out of that shit. Yeah, I remember the way it was back then. Anything that was trending, if the police could, they would find a way to get in on it. Like when I was about 15 years old and mopeds was trending, where a lot of the 18, 19-year-old dudes that I knew, they was getting mopeds and they was having races down the street. You know, these mopeds only doing 30, 40 miles an hour and racing down the street and all kinds of shit. And then the cops, you know, started pulling them over and started saying some dumb shit to them that, you know, this moped has over 50 cc's, therefore it's considered a motorcycle. Therefore, you got to have a cycle endorsement to ride it and all this kind of bullshit. So they was hitting people with tickets, you know, on their mopeds. So the police took the fun out of that. Spartan God, what is the joke is that Sony has less money, less powerful system, and pump out more and better looking games than Microsoft, who's the third most valuable company in the world. You know, Microsoft is one of them companies that's like trying to keep the labor down and the profits up. Just like is any, you know, now a lot of you guys who doesn't know who the Ford Motor Company is? I don't know how many of you people know that, but the Ford Motor Company owns the Detroit Lions, the NFL football team. And the Ford Motor Company bought the Detroit Lions in 1963, and they pretty much had a losing history ever since they were purchased by the Ford Motor Company. And the Ford Motor Company is one of the biggest reasons why they have a losing tradition, because they don't want to spend the money to put a good team out there. All they do is get good enough players and pay the big name players. They'll get one or two big name players just to put people in the stands. So William Clay Ford, who was the owner of the Detroit Lions, you know, he died a couple of years ago. He was a bean counter. He was the person that would try to keep the profits up and payroll down. So he wasn't interested in trying to get to a Super Bowl. All he was interested in was keeping that stadium full so they can get that, you know, get that revenue for keeping the stadium full. He wasn't interested in the Super Bowl, and that's why people in Detroit is in such agony and shit. They pour their heart and soul into that team, and the owner wasn't trying to get them to the Super Bowl. He was just trying to get them to come to the games. And so with that being said, the city of Detroit kind of rules how long a coach will be there, because if a coach overstays his welcome in Detroit, you know, people get tired of the losing and shit like that. When they start calling for that coach's head, he will probably be fired within 2 years of that, because if they don't fire him, people will start threatening to boycott the games. And then I've seen it before where they didn't fire a coach yet and people stopped coming to the games and the stadium was only half full and shit like that. So the owner had to fire the coach and get somebody in there that had a little bit of a name to get fans to come back to the game, you know, come back to the stadiums, you know. So to me, that's just the American way. There's a lot of companies out there that's trying to, you know, get the profits up and not spend any money, not put any money into the product. Sony is one of those companies that put money into the product. Hey, Wanye Tudor, you said, you know, Forza stayed hot for about 30 minutes. Shit, I'm surprised it stayed hot that damn long. Because between Forza Horizon and the Forza Motorsports game, it seems like they put out 32 of those damn games. It seems like they come out every year.
Do you have the skin? The one I'm using right now?
Oh yeah, I remember those Sony Explodes. My brother had a set of those gameplays. I'm just now seeing that comment. Yeah, my brother had a, matter of fact, take that back. I had a set of those. Somebody, what it was is my youngest brother called me up and said there's a guy selling a set of 12-inch Sony Explodes for $100. My brother knew that I did not have any interest in those because I didn't even have a system in my car. What it was is he wanted me to buy them. He knew I wasn't going to do anything with them except set them in the basement, and they was just going to sit there. So he wanted me to buy them, and then at a time when his money was right, then he would come buy them from me. So basically, he was getting me to buy them so I could hold them for him, because he wanted those Sony Explodes bad as hell. Yeah, I remember those woofers. Said George Bush, I'm at the Houston airport waiting for a woman I was supposed to meet off Facebook 5 hours ago. My friends told me she wasn't real, but I think she is. Lincoln, can you please pick me up? Hey, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get from Grand Rapids, Michigan to the Houston airport. And I might not make it there for a few days. That's going to be quite a drive, my man. Said one, did you too get that tag about Battlefield 5? We're I mean, did you put something in Twitter? Yeah, Spartan God. I live in Michigan. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's the second biggest city in Michigan behind Detroit.
I landed with people. Yes.
You said yesterday. You know what? See, the thing about it, Wanya Tudor, like, especially when I'm at work, my phone is cooking constantly. And see, and the thing about it is I'll get an alert and it'll say, it might say Wanya Tudor replied to a comment that somebody else said, and then it'll be like me and 15 other people being tagged. So I don't know if the response was directed at me at all. It's just like once somebody starts a conversation on Twitter, everybody that's tagged in that first post, their name, they keep getting alerts for every post that goes back and forth, from the original conversation that started. So somebody will start a conversation and it'll have nothing to do with me, but because I got tagged, I'll keep getting alerts throughout the day, and they're like, have my fucking phone cooking. El Matador, what is up? Said Danny Ruiz. You said sorry about my Lions. Danny Ruiz. I'm I'm a Buccaneers fan. The year before Barry Sanders retired is when I finally had enough of the Lions, because I was really sick of the owner. William Clay Ford. He just was not interested in getting to the Super Bowl. He just wants to keep that stadium full. And I figured this must be just the way the state of Michigan works. When they this must be the way the state of Michigan works, where they just don't, they don't want to put money into the product, but they want some crazy profits off of it. So I went over to the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers had just fired Sam Weiss and they hired Tony Dungy as their head coach. And I had a lot of respect for Tony Dungy because at the time he was the defensive coordinator in Minnesota, and Barry Sanders, the two teams that Barry Sanders used to have trouble against was Minnesota and Green Bay. Because over in Green Bay he was dealing with Reggie White, and over in Minnesota he was dealing with Henry Thomas and John Randall. And Tony Dungy was the defensive coordinator over in Minnesota. And matter of fact, Tony Dungy's got Michigan roots. Because I can't remember if he was born in Michigan or something like that, but Tony Dungy has Michigan roots. But the biggest reason why I had a lot of respect for Tony Dungy as the defensive coordinator of Minnesota, and not only that, I was really happy the Buccaneers gave a black coach a chance, because before Tony Dungy came along, I think the only other black coaches that were in the NFL was was Dennis Green and Art Shell. So I think Tony Dungy was probably like the third black coach in the NFL. And when the Buccaneers hired him, they hired a man that I thought was a good coach. Like Art Shell, when the Raiders hired him, I don't know if they hired him because they thought he was a good coach or if they just wanted to be the first team to hire a black coach. So to me, don't hire somebody just because he's black. Hire him because he's good. And I think Tony Dungy was a good coach. So with that being said, I have rolled with the Buccaneers as my team, and they delivered. They eventually got a Super Bowl. They eventually won the Super Bowl. That's more that can be said about the Lions. And the Buccaneers was like, for about the first 10 years they was in the league, they were the laughing stock. They were the epitome of losing. They were the definition of losing. Skyfall, you said you live in Alabama and you hate it. I've never been there. I don't know if I want to go there because because of Alabama's history. I don't know what kind of shit I would have to deal with down there. I just don't know. So I don't know. I don't like fucking with snow up here in Michigan, but I think I'd still rather live up here than, Hey, the Robert McLeod, you live in New York. Shit. Hey, Robert McLeod, I believe that as far as states that have the most fucked up winters, I think Wisconsin I think they might have the most fucked up winters. I think, Minnesota maybe second. And then I think maybe Michigan and New York could be tied for third in terms of who have the most fucked up winters, because don't forget, over here in Michigan, we are surrounded by the lakes.
I'm gonna do the default dance.
Danny Ruiz, you said me and the Messiah should have our own show. It would definitely take off. Hey, don't forget, Danny. I don't know if you saw that one day, Danny Ruiz. That one day I did a podcast where Ian Robinson and Craig Harris, they were guests on the shows, and I had pitched that to them that we should do a weekly show, and we should call it Two Wakandans and a Scotty. Both of them like that idea, but it's just one of them things where the schedules, you know what I mean? But I thought if we I think if we could get on the same page in terms of schedules or something like that, I would love to do something like that and follow through with that plan to have a show. Two Wakandans and a Scotty. I think that, because we had a really good podcast that day.
Yeah, you're not doing it.
So
Yeah, because
you say you can't see myself living anywhere else than the Bay Area, although I stayed in Missouri for 9 months. I've been to San Francisco once. George Bush, and ironically, I was there to hook up with some of my Xbox friends that I had been friends with for a few years, and I finally flew out to San Francisco to meet them, and we had a wonderful weekend there, man. We had so much damn fun. What time we got? Almost 9:30 in hell, and I still got 36 people watching. Shit, go everybody! That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate y'all sticking around. Definitely. But shoot, I'm ready to play some games here pretty soon. I'm ready to start out my first stream with Beat Saber. So I think that's what I'm going to do first. And my son has the TV, and he's playing Fortnite with his friends. So anything you say Two Wakandans and a Latino, if it were you, sure, we could do that too, You said you're ready to play some Mass Effect. So I think right now, while my son's got the TV playing Fortnite, so anything that I do as far as streams go is going to have to be on the VR, because I wouldn't be able to I don't want to wear the VR for flat screen games. I just don't like it, because you're looking at it like it almost looked like you're looking at a huge 80-foot screen. And then once the shit starts drifting and shit, North Carolina is brown recluse area. Shit's scary. And I don't want to fuck with none of that shit. So no, none of that for me. You said you can't wait until you get another Xbox One because I'm sick of playing this 360. Whoa. How are you going to get another Xbox One when you're playing the 3? What the fuck you doing with a 360? Is that your way of realizing that the Game Pass is composed of 360 games and you decided to keep your 360 because of it? I mean, why else would you have a 360 and we this damn far into the generation, you still fucking with a 360? What the hell? You said I got an old 360. My Xbox One broke a few weeks ago. Come on, man. Xbox One is still cheap enough, man, that you should, man, come on now. Lincoln cough and laugh. Look, man, if my PlayStation Pro broke right now, man, it would make me sick to my damn stomach. I would drop to my knees and probably cry. But 5 minutes after I stop crying, I'm gonna get up, wipe my eyes, and then I'm going to Best Buy or Walmart and buy another PlayStation Pro and come home and start gaming. I was saying, like, this whole time that I've had this PlayStation Pro, I was like, I pray to God this shit don't break, because if it breaks, I'm gonna have to go get another one. I'm going to get it 5 minutes after it breaks. This Xbox is another matter. If that Xbox One S in my bedroom breaks, well, okay, whatever. I may go get another one, maybe not. It won't be a big deal to me. But if that PlayStation Pro breaks, that's a big deal to me. And that shit will be replaced in 5 minutes, even though it would make me sick to drop another $400. Hell no. Yes. I wouldn't even play a 360 I wouldn't even play a PS3 if my Pro broke. I mean, oh wait, there's a Raven skin. If my Xbox One S broke right now, the only, like, what I would probably do would end up checking Walmart, Best Buy, and Target and see if any of them still have one on sale for $200. If they did, then I would probably go buy it. But if they were like, if I looked in, it was like $300, I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm not buying another one until it turns up on sale. I need to wait for it. You see, the X is not, it's nice when it doesn't break down. And see, my son has an Xbox One X, and other than Gears of War, he don't even take advantage of that power because he plays, Fortnite and Roblox. No, I forgot to thank the bus driver. I forgot to thank the Ninja. I was definitely, curious about Battlefield 5 to see if Battlefield 5 looks noticeably better on the X than it does on the PlayStation Pro. You said, Christopher Hurt, all I would do if I had an Xbox One S and it broke is pour some liquor out and keep it moving. You said, I'd rather buy a Soldier Boy console than the Xbox One. God damn, Daddy. Damn. You said, I was on the original Xbox One. I'm glad that shit broke. See, like I said, I was a little bit embarrassed to admit that I bought an Xbox One S after all the shit that I talked about Microsoft. I felt like a hypocrite, because I had said that when I had a standard, Xbox One, and I said, when that shit breaks, I'm done. But I'm not gonna lie. I got a 4K TV in my bedroom, and that Xbox One won't take advantage of it. The colors looked all washed out, and you had the shiny outlines on the characters and all that bullshit. And then I saw how Gears of War looked on the Xbox One X on my Hisense H9, and it looked amazing. So I said, when I saw these Black Friday specials and shit like that, and I was able to catch an Xbox One S for $200 with a copy of Battlefield 5, I went ahead and jumped on it. I said, fuck it. I said, now I'm gonna be done when this shit take a dump, then I'll be done. But yeah, I felt like a hypocrite that I did that shit. So my vanilla Xbox One, I gave it to my nephew. But he already had a PlayStation. But I didn't think he had a console, but he already got a PlayStation. So, but I gave it to him, and he was still happy. He was still happy with it. He's a gamer, not as hardcore as me, but he's a gamer though. Look how high I am. But how many people going to turn down a free Xbox? I mean, as far as that goes, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do about my other PlayStation VR because I have 2 PlayStation VRs. I have the original one that came out day one that I paid $500 for, and then I bought another one a couple of months ago, the revised one that has the HDR pass through. So I'm still trying to figure out what to do about the original one. Because the revived PlayStation VR is much better ergonomically. You know, it doesn't have all those cluttery ass plugs. It's got one cord running from the box to the headset, whereas the original one had the box and 2 thick ass cables, 2 thick ass plugs, 2 more plugs that go into one plug and then finally into the headset. I mean, I felt like I had some damn jumper cables, you know, from a car hooked up to my headset.
Oh, this guy's a YouTuber. That's why his name is.
So Craig needs a PSVR. He got the paper to buy it. I'm still trying to decide what to do with it because, I mean, you know, if I sell it, it'll be dirt cheap, you know. That the only catch is if, you know, whoever buys that PSVR from me, the only catch is it won't come with the Move controllers. It'll be the headset and the camera. So, but it'll still be dirt cheap. I'm not one of those people to try to rip people off. I'm one of those dudes where if I buy something new, I'll buy the old one, you know, I'll sell the old one dirt cheap so I can get, you know, so I can go ahead and get it out of my hair.
No. That's how much Max.
You say you only play some mode in Halo 5 called Super Fiesta. It's team deathmatch, but you spawn it with 2 random weapons. Okay.
He ran into me. He's a default. Is he a real one?
The gameplays, you said you bought and sold an Xbox One because of Halo 5? Yeah. You want to know why I bought my very first Xbox, the original Xbox?
What? No,
I bought it because of Shenmue 2. The Sega Dreamcast was defunct now, no longer in production, and it was a painful truth that I had to accept. So it was time to move on to something else. And I still hated Sony at the time, and I just wasn't ready to accept the Xbox yet. And so Shenmue 2, the Xbox was the only console that you could get Shenmue 2 on. So at about 3 in the morning, I got up and went to Myers, and I bought the original Xbox with the big giant, I think Duke controller they called it, with the big ugly Duke controller. And I came home and I played Shenmue 3. And even though I wasn't all that crazy about being on the Xbox, I still enjoyed it.
And I'm at my dad's right now. He has an Xbox?
So,
are you asking if my dad has an Xbox?
And I definitely follow the Shenmue thing, so I'm definitely looking forward to Shenmue 3.
He does have an Xbox, but he likes PlayStation better.
So, damn, I've been on for almost 2 hours and 33. Y'all still here. Hey, I appreciate it, y'all. I appreciate it. Damn. I will do some kind of podcast tomorrow because, like I said, come Monday, I go back into the gym.
Wait, what?
And I'm not really sure how this is going to play out in terms of how much I can do podcasts on YouTube because I gotta get focused in the gym again. I gotta get my focus back. So we'll see how it plays out. Starting Monday when I go back into the gym. By the end of the week, I think I'll have a better feel of how things are going to go, and then I'll let everybody know, how I plan to, format things. At the end of the week, once I get back, get my feet firmly planted back into the gym.
Every time I hide behind a wall, they just keep their sight.
So with that being said, I'm getting ready to shut it down. and play games. I mean, that's why we all here anyway, to play games. And I'm gonna start out with Beat Saber. And then from there, I think I'm gonna decide whether I'm gonna play Firewall or whatever. But whatever I play, tonight, it's all gonna be VR games because my son's on the TV. And also be warned that that when I move over to the PlayStation and start streaming, you will hear my son in the background because he's playing Fortnite with his friends. So be warned that you will hear that. No big deal. No big deal. So with that being said, give it a like. Lock the door on your way out. I appreciate it, everybody tuning in. And for those who are going to come over and join me on Beat Saber, we'll see you guys when you get there. Am I going to stream the games or do I have to crash another live stream? I'm going to stream it. I'm going to stream the game. You said you use Kinect as a headset. How do you wear a headset? How do you wear a Kinect? Hey, uncompetitive. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Christopher Hart, Fader Sherrod, George Bush, Jamal King, T Gameplays, everybody, I appreciate you all tuning in. I really appreciate it. And like I said, for those of you that's going to join me over here in a few minutes on Beat Saber, I'll see you guys when you get there, and again, give it a like the door, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Thanks for visiting Wakanda. I will holler at y'all later.